Hello, everyone. Meteorologist Mike Joyce here on this Monday evening at 11:06 p.m. I hope everyone's doing all right. I did want to hop on here and update you on some severe weather that has been happening across Indiana over the past couple of hours now, and has for a while moved into some of our Indiana counties, including one tornado warning that is still in effect for Henry County, Indiana. So that's right here where we see Newcastle on your screen. And we also have a new flash flood warning. This flash flood warning is going to run until 3 o'clock this morning. That is going to be for northeastern Union County, so that's right here in Indiana. This is Preble County, Ohio, right here, and then a good portion of Wayne County, Indiana, including the city of Richmond. That's going to run until 3 in the morning. And as we look elsewhere, we don't have any other severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings at this time. We do have some stronger storms to the north up here near Salina, but the Weather Service has not elected to put us on notice for those. So if you're seeing some thunder or lightning on the Ohio side right now, there is no tornado warning in Ohio. But we do have this one lone tornado warning. Again, this is for Henry County, Indiana, and this is going to run until 11:30 tonight. So places in this warning include Sulphur Springs, Springport, Indiana State Route 3, US Route 36, um, and this is all just north of I-70 in Indiana. So it's going to be right around the mile marker, 130, 120 range there on I-70 there in Indiana. So just to kind of let you all know where that is. Um, right now we're looking at the reflectivity of the storm, which is the rate of precipitation, typical radar image here. But why don't we switch over to our velocity and see, try to see if we have any area of concern. And right now I'm not seeing a whole lot in terms of a velocity signature that would indicate a tornado. Now, if we put a loop on it, we can see that there was some evidence of that a few scans back. If we can look at the time, probably just before the 11 o'clock hour, we did see some evidence of that on radar. Now, this is coming at us from the Wilmington, Ohio radar. If we switch to the Indianapolis radar, which is actually a little bit closer, we yeah, all right, yeah, we can actually kind of see that there is a little bit of broad rotation still in this storm right near Sulphur Springs. In fact, just maybe to the east of downtown Sulphur Springs. Again, if we loop this, we can see that this rotation was a little bit stronger in the last scans within the last 10 minutes or so and seems to have weakened a bit. But, the way things have gone this evening, we could see things spin up again. So we're going to kind of keep an eye on this. Again, Henry County, Indiana, Sulphur Springs, Indiana, Springport, Bluntsville, and Moreland along US 36. That is where our main concern is at the moment. That is the only tornado warning. Although we do have a flash flood warning in effect for Wayne County, Indiana, Preble County, Ohio, and Union County, Indiana, and that's going to run until 3 o'clock this morning. And we do have a new radar scan on this tornado warned storm in Indiana near Sulphur Springs. Um, Again, the rotation not looking too strong, although we do still see some rotation here. Um, right near Sulphur Springs, as we see the green and the red. It's not bright. We don't see the bright greens and the bright reds, so I'm not entirely convinced that this is a this is on the ground. But we could take a look at a couple other pieces of data. We can also look at um, let's see, see if I can get what we call correlation coefficient. So what the correlation coefficient is it helps us determine if there's maybe any debris being lofted in the air. And let's see, having a hard time trying to load it here. Oh, here we go. Okay. There we go. All right. Well, there's actually typically when we look at this product, if we see any like blues or greens, there could be something lofted in the air there. So this certainly is worth keeping an eye on as we work our way through the next 20 or 25 minutes or so. Okay, new scan. Again, not entirely impressive, but we are really watching that area right here between Sulphur Springs and Moreland and Springport, Indiana. You guys are under a tornado warning there. No confirmed tornado from the Weather Service, but and the rotation doesn't appear all that strong, but it is there. So that's why they have seemingly elected to keep that tornado warning going there again in Henry County, Indiana. I'm going to try to see if I can search for a few other updates as well for us. Um, but yeah, this is not a very widespread severe weather event. And in fact, I anticipate that most of our communities that we serve here will not be seeing a severe weather threat tonight. Now, we do have this storm down here near Washington Courthouse. It does look like there's some very broad rotation in it as well. That's in Fayette County, Ohio. There it is. Not looking too impressive on radar, other than some lightning and uh, some heavy rain, maybe even some small hail with it. That's going to be south of Washington Courthouse, so um, southern Fayette County. Maybe you're seeing some lightning in the distance if you live on the southwest side of Columbus, maybe Mount Sterling, Asheville, Circleville, seeing some lightning down to the southwest. And then we also have this little blip on radar out in Clark County heading into Madison County. We also did have a tornado warning earlier for Butler County, Ohio. That has been allowed to expire. The remnants of the storm are now moving across the Warren County line into the Mason and Lebanon area. Still a hefty area of rain and lightning in Camden, so that's going to be southern Preble County, so Camden and Gratis. Probably seeing some lightning out in Miamisburg and Germantown. But again, the one tornado warning storm that we have right now is in Henry County, Indiana. So if you're anywhere else that I haven't mentioned, I am not concerned much for severe weather tonight. I do believe that a lot of these showers are running into more stable air over Ohio as we work our way through the night. So yes, you may hear thunder, see some lightning, but I think the severe weather threat is diminishing as we go throughout the evening. That said, Indiana itself is still pretty potent. We have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings in central Indiana, including near Bloomington, Indiana, south of Indianapolis, and then even heading down here into southern Indiana to the east of Louisville, we have some strong storms. But only one in our area that we're covering right now is this tornado warning for Henry County until 11:30. So we'll stick with you at least until then, as we continue to track this dangerous storm. Many strong storms moving through the area this evening. In fact, we've had some funnel cloud reports for a couple, or at least we've had a couple funnel cloud reports within the last couple of hours. So let's see. There is not a tornado warning for Fayette County in Ohio. As far as I know, there is not. Basically, what I was saying is there is some broad rotation there, but not enough to. Yeah, it's very weak. I'm not concerned about the storm over Washington Courthouse. Basically, what I was saying is it's one of the only storms outside of the tornado warning storm that's actually back in Henry County, Indiana, where we're concerned about it. So let's take a look at that storm again. Really not looking too impressive on velocity anymore. Hopefully that is good news, and we're seeing signs of weakening. Again, there is some broad rotation. We're seeing some weak returns with the bright red here, maybe even some green, relatively far away from each other. We're starting to see this storm break up now, but it is not terribly far from Richmond, Indiana, and some of our um, communities along the state line. It's about a county away. So we're looking at about 25 to 30 miles away from Ohio, and it's weakening. So we're hoping that it does continue to weaken. But these storms, even with a weakening tornado threat. Still have a threat for a lot of lightning, some heavy rain. The ground is pretty dry, so it's actually going to cause some of that water to pool up and cause some potential flooding in some areas. And that's why a flash flood warning is in effect for Wayne County, Indiana, Northern Union County, Indiana, and Preble County, Ohio. That's going to run until 3 o'clock this morning, because even if this storm does weaken and stay away from the tornado threat over the next couple of hours, we will still have some heavy rain and lightning with it. So maybe even some brief gusty winds as well. So um, that's really the recap right now. If you're anywhere else in our viewing area, most of the state of Ohio is perfectly fine right now. We do have that one moderately strong storm in Fayette County, Ohio, near Washington Courthouse. Again, that does not have a tornado warning on it, but it does bear watching. So we will keep an eye on that. The only tornado warning here in Henry County, Indiana. Now, there are some severe thunderstorm warnings back in central and southern Indiana, but they are not related to this specific storm right now. That does show signs of weakening over the last, I would say, 15, 10 minutes maybe. Definitely some rotation that was there, and that's what prompted the tornado warning, but it does appear to be weakening. But we want to stay with this until the warning has expired, because just like earlier this evening, some of these storms have had tornado warnings reissued right after it's expired, because storms cycle, meaning that they go through a phase where there's strong rotation, potential tornado activity, and then it kind of breaks apart. And then sometimes it re-strengthens as the circulations kind of gather themselves together again. So, um, the trend is weaker tonight, thankfully. I do think our overall severe weather threat is pretty low as we work our way through the overnight hours. And the reason why is we're just running into some drier, more stable air being a good thing over Ohio, especially central Ohio. Folks in Columbus along I-71 up to Mansfield and Cleveland, the air is a bit more stable there. So I'm not really concerned too much about severe weather if you're east of I-71. Could have a storm or two, maybe a pop up and some lightning and thunder, but really not much of a tornado threat. I do think the tornado threat, even for the Dayton area, is lower than it is in Indiana. Um, there's some instability in the atmosphere right now that I'm looking at, and even some spin too. It's there. It's just, will this hold together as storms become a little more elevated overnight, meaning that the cloud base for the storm activity gets higher and higher and harder for tornadoes to form. So that's the trend I'm hoping we're leaning toward. Can't rule out um, a couple of these storms still maintaining some strength, but right now the only tornado warning is in Henry County, Indiana. So, um, that is what we're looking at for this evening. Um, this is providing a lot of much needed rain to the region. We've been very dry over the past summer. Really, it's been the whole summer that's been dry. So this is some much needed rain. The only issue, it's coming quite a bit faster than we would all like. And that's what causes flash flooding situations like what is going on here in Wayne County and Preble County, Ohio. So I should say Wayne County, Indiana, Preble County, Ohio. I don't want to get that mixed up. Wayne County, Ohio, which is where Worcester is, you're fine. No issues there. This is Wayne County, Indiana. Let's see if I can get some more information on either the tornado warning or the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see here. Sulphur Springs. That is the closest town in Indiana to this. Tornado warning until 11:30, so that's still about 9 more minutes. It is moving east at 30 miles per hour, so really following US 36 at this moment. between Sulphur Springs and Moreland, but not a lot of strong rotation. If this trend continues, I believe that this tornado warning will be allowed to expire, but we do have to watch for any potential brief spin up. But as it moves into Ohio, I think the atmosphere is in a little bit better shape to keep the tornado threat low. So if you're in Ohio, the tornado threat's low. Still keep an eye on things. Maybe have a way to wake up if a tornado warning is issued. I do think the threat is low though. Certainly, once you get to the I-71 and north areas, so Columbus and points north, I think the atmosphere is a little too stable for these storms to really cause too much trouble. But there's a lot of rain. There's even some hail in these storms. Um, and of course, that potential for rotation over Henry County, Indiana, that we've been tracking for quite some time. Not too impressive, but because the storm has a history of it, the Weather Service is opting to keep this, and it's not really even showing up on the upper levels of the Wilmington radar. We do have to switch over to Indianapolis's radar to see this. There's not much to. There's not a whole lot of strong rotation, which is good news. If I put a loop on it, we can see points in the past where it did have uh, enough strong rotation to prompt a tornado warning. Back here, let's see if we can track the time again. So this would have been about 20, 25 minutes ago, south of Middletown, Indiana. So Middletown, Indiana, not Ohio. This kind of held together a bit for Sulphur Springs. So hopefully everybody's okay in Sulphur Springs. We'll have to check in on that. But the rotation has moved off to the east, and it's very broad, not likely producing anything on the ground at this time. But of course, we are scanning about 4,000 feet in the atmosphere. So we and in any time that there's a tornado warning, we still want to be in our safe places. Even if the trend shows weakening, even if there's trending toward not needing a tornado warning anymore, we could still have the situation where it's warranted. So we still want folks to be careful here in northern Henry County, Indiana, until at least 11:30. So hopefully that will continue its weakening trend and will be allowed to expire. Okay, so let's just look at the big picture here, since we probably have a lot of questions from other communities. I won't be able to answer everyone's questions. There's too many small towns, too many small towns, too many big towns, too many medium towns to address everyone's specific location. But what I can do is give you an overall synopsis here. So you're seeing this red shaded area that's quite large, multiple states big. So Indiana, Illinois, down here is Kentucky. That's a severe thunderstorm watch. So that's where conditions are more favorable for severe thunderstorms to pop up. Nobody in Ohio is under a severe thunderstorm watch. The Weather Service and even I believe that a lot of these storms are going to run into some more stable air, or at least an atmosphere not as conducive to tornadoes. Lightning, brief heavy rain, sure, that's in the cards for tonight. But I think the tornado threat is diminishing as we head across the state line. Still bears watching, because we did have that tornado warning down here in Butler County about an hour ago. Hopefully, well, hopefully no damage there, but we'll have to kind of keep an eye out for damage reports as well. I'm going to take a look actually at a secondary radar here. So if you're not in Indiana or Western Ohio, you're okay. Cleveland's fine. Columbus most likely will be okay. Even Dayton, even though you're not terribly far from Newcastle, Indiana, maybe 50 miles or so, the atmosphere over Dayton is starting to turn over a little bit. Some of the storms that are nearby are already eating up some of that energy. So I'm hopeful that the tornado threat is even lower for the Dayton area. But again, as always, we want to watch and we want to make sure that that's not the case. So anyway, that's the synopsis. If you're east of 71, you're okay. Really, it's only Western Ohio and Eastern Indiana right now that we're tracking a couple areas of concern, including this tornado warning that runs until 11:30. So we got about 3.5 minutes left on this one. Again, Henry County, Indiana, still not seeing very pronounced rotation. I mean, it's there. You can see some greens and reds near each other, but it's not very tight. Not a very tight couplet where you have bright greens and bright reds right next to each other. You have some more broad rotation here, which is means the storm is strong. It's rotating, but maybe not enough to produce a damaging tornado. So we are hoping that that will continue to be the case. So again, if you're in the Dayton area, sure you're seeing some lightning, probably hearing some rumbles of thunder. So this is going to be places like southern Preble County. This is going to be Miamisburg, Germantown, maybe even Centerville. If you look off to the west, you're going to see some lightning. This storm is moving east. So these storms are moving east and generally about 30 miles an hour. So the tornado producing storm will be in northern Wayne County, Indiana here very soon. But again, I'm not too concerned about it. There's not as much rotation as there used to. But you're used to be, but we just have to make sure that it's not going to spin back up again. And right now, it's not indicating that it will. So we're going to stick with this at least for another 3 minutes and see how that rotation potential trends. And I do think it's a little more favorable for weakening. It is at night, and yes, we can have tornadoes at night. We can have fuel for storms overnight through what we call a low-level jet, which brings in some uh, wind, basically moisture and wind dynamics in the mid levels of the atmosphere. So that kind of drives nighttime storms a little bit. But again, it's hard to get a strong one of those in late July and early August, unless you get a good setup going, and we do have that a little bit. I feel like I'm rambling, but basically what I'm saying is the tornado threat does seem to be diminishing. So hopefully that will put some folks at ease a little bit. I would still recommend having a way to be woken up if a tornado warning does get issued, just in case. The chance is low, but just in case. That could be any sort of text alert. The Ohio News and Weather app is a good way to do that. You can download that on the Google Play or Apple App Store. Um, and kind of set things up for your county. There are instructions on how to do that, or at least a relatively easy to follow way to set that up to get alerts for where you live. So that way you're not getting alerts for too many places that don't affect you, which we don't want. But in our live stream, we are focusing on the strongest storm right now, which this one with a history of rotation in northern Henry County, Indiana. The tornado warning is likely going to expire here at 11:30. So let's see what happens. If it does expire, we'll see this flashing red box just go away, and that's what we want. But we're going to wait to see what the Weather Service has to say about that. While we wait for an update there, and there's our update. It's 11:30. The tornado warning has been allowed to expire. That is great news. We still have to watch these storms because they do have that history of being on the strong side, but the trend is looking upward, and I'm pretty happy to report that. All right, now that the tornado warning has expired, let's just do a brief synopsis of what's going on. And I am going to probably drop the stream for now, but if we do have other pressing weather issues, potentially another tornado warning or something like that, we're hoping not. We're crossing fingers that we're done with that. Um, but if we do get another warning of sorts, I will get back on here to discuss it. All right, flash flood warning for Wayne County, Indiana. We also have Preble County, Ohio, and Northern Union County, Indiana. That's going to run until 3 a.m. thanks to all of the heavy rain that has fallen from these storms. And still a strong thunderstorm that just had a canceled tornado warning, now moving into northern Wayne County as well. So if you're in Darke County, Preble County, Ohio, you're going to see this storm, but hopefully not with any rotation. Hopefully. We got to watch it. There's some spin in the atmosphere, but the trend is looking good. And that's it. No other severe weather alerts in our viewing area. Again, if you're east of I-71, if you're north of I-70, your chances are pretty low. So that's most of our coverage area. Your chances are low. It's really just state line, Indiana, Ohio region that I'm a bit concerned about as well. So we're going to keep an eye on things throughout the night, see how things go. But the tornado warning that has prompted the emergency situation in Henry County, Indiana, has now been allowed to expire. All right, guys, thanks for watching so much. Again, stick with us if you would like to have some updates throughout the night. And if we do have some more concerning severe weather, I will pop back on.